Greetings, vinyl community, and welcome to VC Friday, where today's musical question is there life before prog? And the answer, circa 1969, was clearly yes. Whether there's life after prog, that's a different question. But today we'll be looking at the 1969 debut album from Yes, an album that's often dismissed by Yes fans because it's not the work of a fully matured band. It's baby steps. And it's a transitional album in the history of prog because it clearly has one foot still in British psychedelia and the other foot in the 1970s prog rock that was to come. So let's have a look at the beginnings of Yes. Yes evolved out of the London-based band Mabel Greer's Toy Shop, which started out as a psychedelic power trio featuring none of the future members of Yes. But when bassist Paul Rutledge left the band, he was replaced by Chris Squire of the band The Sin, S-Y-N, who then brought his former Sin bandmate, Peter Banks, into the Toy Shop as a second guitarist. In May of 1968, Chris Squire met singer John Anderson at London's La Chasse Club, where Squire was a member and Anderson was working collecting empties and sweeping up. But despite their difference in station, Squire and Anderson hit it off immediately and spent the evening writing a song together. And there'll be more on that later. Over the next couple of months, John Anderson became a full-time member of Mabel Greer's Toy Shop. Peter Banks quit. Then the remaining original members of the band quit. Peter Banks rejoined, and a new drummer, Bill Bruford, was found through a classified ad in the Melody Maker. Finally, Chris Squire and John Anderson persuaded Tony Kaye, another acquaintance from the La Chasse Club, to join Mabel Greer's Toy Shop as their organist. And now all that was left for Mabel Greer's Toy Shop was to find a less cumbersome name. Yes fitted the bill admirably. It was a name that could be printed in much bigger letters in ads and posters for gigs, and indeed on album covers. The newly christened band's first big break was playing the opening slot at Cream's farewell concert at the Royal Albert Hall in November 1968. And by March 1969, they signed a deal with Atlantic Records and entered London's Advision Studios with producer Paul Clay to record their first album. This is that first album. This is a British pressing. This is my original copy purchased in, I believe, 1972. Side 2 is the same as Side 1, at least as far as the LP cover goes. It's a gatefold with a very thin cardboard stock. We've got the band photos on the inside. We've got the liner notes, and we have an insert. We have an insert there with the song lyrics, not in order, and this is on the Plum Atlantic label. When the album was released in the USA, it was given a different cover showing the band posing outside an architectural supply concern. But we've got those same sort of mock handwritten notes on the inside. On the reverse.
Sparkling trees of silver foam cast shadows soft in winter home.
When John Anderson and Chris Squire first met, they bonded over a mutual love of vocal-oriented pop acts such as Simon and Garfunkel, The Association, The Fifth Dimension, and of course the Beatles. With influences like that, it's no surprise that the three-part harmonies of John Anderson, Chris Squire, and Peter Banks became a fundamental part of the early Yes sound. For an example, look no further than the album's opening track, Beyond and Before, co-written by Chris Squire with Mabel Greer's Toy Shop's original lead guitarist Clive Bailey. Chris Squire himself opens the proceedings with a distinctive bass lick, playing a repeated high D at the very top of the neck. Way up here, which then alternates with the open neighboring string sounding the D 2 octaves below. The song itself has a bright and optimistic sound with clear, high vocal harmonies over a marching beat. Psychedelic touches including the filtered vocal on the second bridge and Peter Banks's wah-wah and volume pedal effects.
At your door, second floor, this world war, I love you.
The second track is a jazzy guitar-forward arrangement of The Byrds' I See You from the Fifth Dimension album. At over 6.5 minutes, this is the album's longest track, thanks largely to an extended guitar break from Peter Banks, where he is accompanied only by Bill Bruford's drums, giving the band's two jazz heads a chance to stretch out. Banks even throws in a snippet of Bach, the fugue in C minor from the first book of the Well-Tempered Clavier, although he makes a couple of false starts before spitting it out. In the actual song parts, we hear a lovely contrast between the harmony vocals and John Anderson's solo lines. Also notable are the dramatic crashing chords from the full band in the transition from the guitar solo back into the song. And dramatic crashing chords are something Yes got very good at right from the beginning.
I think of nothing but you.
Next comes John Anderson's wistful ballad, Yesterday and Today. Soft, plaintive vocal, acoustic strumming and piano joined by delicate electric guitar. It's a very quiet moment on the album's first side, and at barely 2.5 minutes, the song seems over before it's begun. Bill Bruford contributes vibraphone, an instrument he wasn't familiar with, but one that fit in well with his jazz ambitions. The album's first side concludes with the John Anderson-Chris Squire composition, Looking Around. Tony Kaye has been somewhat underused so far on the album, but here he gets to step up to the front with a big, chunky organ sound. Again, we have call and response between the three-part harmonies and John Anderson's solo lines, and there's an abrupt ending with a bump on Chris Squire's bass, so the side both begins and ends with the sound of Chris Squire's bass guitar.
Harold Land, with a wave of his hand, said goodbye to old Anne.
After the relatively pop-based material on side 1, side 2 moves closer to the full-blown prog rock that lay in Yes's future, with more sophisticated compositions and complex instrumental arrangements, and 3 of the 4 songs on the side opening with elaborate instrumental passages that feel less like intros and more like overtures. Side 2 begins with the anti-war epic Harold Land. It was jazz lover Bill Bruford's idea to name the song's hero, or anti-hero, after the saxophonist Harold Land. Galloping intro with bass and organ to the fore, wordless vocal harmonies lead us into a transition from a jubilant F major into a mournful D minor, which, as we all know, is the saddest of all the keys. This is where John Anderson introduces the Harold Land character, who goes off to war with dreams of serving his country. and the hushed balladry of this opening verse turns to a surging beat as Harold is marching soldiers in the rain, and then a complex vocal arrangement for the going home section. The first verse melody returns in a much heavier form as it is revealed that Harold Land has lost his love and youth in the war, and then the music shifts to a military march for the moral of the story, which concludes, "There is no heart in Harold Land," which all really seems very unfair to the saxophone guy. A reprise of the galloping intro serves as a coda. Next comes the second of the album's two cover versions, and as with the Birds song, Yes have chosen a deep track rather than a familiar hit. The Beatles' Every Little Thing, from the Beatles for Sale album for the British, but for us in America we knew it from Beatles 6, is treated to a bold, extended instrumental introduction with Peter Banks's psychedelic guitar taking the lead over chattering, clattering bass and seething organ. Banks delivers a quick Ticket to Ride riff as this stormy intro gives way to the song itself. Ringo's timpani from the original recording are replaced by staccato stabs from the full band, punctuating what is otherwise an a cappella reading of the chorus.
Every little thing she does for me, yeah.
Tony Kaye's swirling organ introduces the album's penultimate track. Sweetness is that song that John Anderson and Chris Squire wrote, together with Clive Bailey, the evening that they first met at the La Chasse Club. It's a gentle love song with charmingly awkward, sentimental lyrics, which tell us that she puts the sunshine in a rainy afternoon, she puts the sweetness in, stirs it with a spoon. I guess they can't all be about shastric scriptures and topographic oceans. Bill Bruford contributes delicate cymbal work and soft rim taps, with Peter Banks providing pulsating wah-wah guitar and taking us out with a volume pedal coda.
She watches for my moods, never brings me down.
An edited version of Sweetness was released as the band's first single, as seen on this French edition. And on the flip was another cover version, an incredible 7-minute rendition of Something's Coming from West Side Story, with a turbulent intro and quotes from America and Tonight from the same musical thrown in to sweeten the deal. If this had been included on the album, it would have been a major highlight.
There's something to any day, I will know right away, soon as it shows.
Meanwhile, Sweetness was also released in America as a single, but with Every Little Thing as the flip side. The album wraps up with a John Anderson solo composition, Survival, one of the proggiest offerings on the album, with its quasi-orchestral intro featuring more of those dramatic crashing chords, plaintive verses, and an anthemic chorus. The lyrics offer a somewhat fuzzy fable of a bird that hatches from the egg after its mother has been killed by a predator and so must survive on its own. The song and the album end with a rapid ascending lick being traded around the organ, guitar, and bass. Very nimble bit of instrumental pyrotechnics. Again, looking forward to the prog rock of the future. While most of the songs from this album were abandoned early in Yes's concert career, the chorus of Survival reappeared in a late 70s medley, and the whole song was revived in 2017 when the band played a set featuring one song from each of the first 10 Yes albums. Yes was released on July 25th, 1969 in the UK, and on October 15th of that year in the United States, and failed to chart in either country. There was a second single released in the UK, but it's very rare and I've never seen a copy. It was Looking Around, last track from side 1, and the B-side was another cover version of Buffalo Springfield's Every Days. It was a different version, but they did re-record Every Days for the second Yes album. This German copy of Looking Around, meanwhile, once again uses Every Little Thing for the B-side.
Grocery store, $10. Just making change for plastic cherries.
So that's our deep dive into the debut by Yes. Thanks very much for watching. Be well. And will I talk with you again soon?